New immigration rule by USCIS now in force. As of April 2nd, a new immigration policy by the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services has officially taken effect, sparking both support and controversy. The rule mandates that only two biological sexes, male and female, will be recognized on all immigration-related documents. If you're interested in this topic, please pay attention and watch the video through to the end to get all the information. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for an upcoming video. If someone claims they're acting on your behalf or offering to teach you about new immigration processes, especially while asking for money, exercise caution. Scammers are already exploiting the confusion around recent updates. One incident involved someone falsely stating that immigration classes had started and requesting a $500 payment. It's essential to verify all information directly through official government channels or reputable legal assistance. Now, turning to a major policy shift that began April 2nd, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services has enacted a controversial new regulation that is already generating both praise and criticism. The change is directly tied to an executive order signed by President Donald Trump titled, "Defending Women from the Extremism of Gender Ideology and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government." In alignment with this directive, USCIS is now officially recognizing only two biological sexes, male and female, on all immigration forms and applications. Any documents that do not conform to this standard may lead to processing delays. Enforcement backed by data and IC collaboration. As part of broader efforts to bolster immigration enforcement, the administration has emphasized using data analytics and intelligence tools to assist immigration and customs enforcement in locating and detaining individuals considered threats to public safety. The rhetoric here is stark. The mission is framed around protecting America from invasion and restoring safety and order by identifying foreign criminals. What the policy means for you. Beginning April 2nd, any USCIS form that does not indicate one of the two accepted biological sexes, male or female, could result in significant delays. The policy does not state that such forms will be automatically denied, but applications may be returned, flagged for correction, or postponed in processing. In other words, individuals who leave gender markers blank or who identify as non-binary, transgender, or by other self-identified categories that do not match official sex designations should be especially cautious. A USCIS spokesperson explained, "Do things the way the Trump administration is telling you, so everything goes well for you." Sex designation based on birth certificate. Under the new guidelines, the birth certificate is the primary and official document used to determine biological sex. The sex listed on this document must match the information submitted on any USCIS form. If the birth certificate lists something other than male or female, the applicant will be required to submit secondary evidence to establish biological sex. Although it's unclear whether any U.S. jurisdictions currently issue birth certificates with alternative gender designations at birth, this provision seems designed to preemptively block complications from transgender or non-binary applicants whose records might not reflect traditional binary sex classifications. President Trump promised the American people a common-sense revolution, stated Tricia McLaughlin, USCIS Undersecretary for Public Affairs. This includes ensuring that federal government policy reflects biological reality. The broader political and cultural context. This change reflects a broader political effort by the Trump-aligned administration to resist what it terms gender ideology. Supporters argue that recognizing only male and female sexes preserves scientific integrity, public safety, and moral clarity. The suppression of biological sex, they argue, harms women in particular, undermining their privacy and safety in areas such as sports, shelters, and prisons. From the administration's perspective, anchoring policy in biological definitions is essential for the trustworthiness of government institutions. It reflects, in their words, truth, morality, and public safety. Critics, however, see this as a direct attack on LGBTQ+ communities, particularly transgender and non-binary individuals. They argue that denying the reality of gender identity and imposing outdated frameworks risks marginalizing already vulnerable populations. Elimination of X gender marker in passports. This USCIS move follows another recent change. the elimination of the X gender marker from U.S. passports. This option, once available to individuals who identify as non-binary, neither male nor female, was quietly suspended shortly after the executive order was signed. Critics have called this a step backward for civil rights, while supporters hail it as a return to traditional values. Be informed, not misled. In light of these sweeping changes, applicants are strongly advised to double-check all forms before submission. Errors, particularly regarding sex identification, could lead to long delays. USCIS has clarified that while cases won't necessarily be denied outright, inconsistent information may complicate your application. Also, beware of unofficial sources claiming to represent immigration authorities. If someone contacts you asking for money to fix your application, it could be a scam. Always go through official USCIS channels or licensed legal professionals. USCIS announces policy update recognizing only 2 biological sexes. The United States Citizenship and Immigration Service announced an update to its policy, clarifying that it will only recognize 2 biological sexes, male and female. This change aligns with the January 20th executive order titled Defending Women from Gender Ideology Extremism and Restoring Biological Truth to the federal government. The USCIS also detailed how it will consider sex as listed on birth certificates when processing immigration benefits. In a press release, the USCIS stated, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services is updating the USCIS policy manual to clarify that it only recognizes 2 biological sexes, male and female. It added, consistent with the January 20th, 2025 executive order, defending women from gender ideology extremism and restoring biological truth to the federal government, USCIS is returning to its historical policy of recognizing 2 biological sexes. U.S. Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin emphasized that the policy aligns with what she described as simple biological reality and aims to protect national security. There are only 2 sexes, male and female. President Trump promised the American people a revolution of common sense, and that includes making sure that the policy of the U.S. government agrees with simple biological reality. Proper management of our immigration system is a matter of national security, not a place of promoting coddle an ideology that permanently harms children and robs real women of their dignity, safety, and well-being, McLaughlin said. The press release further stated that the USCIS considers a person's sex as that which is generally evidenced on the birth certificate issued at or nearest to the time of birth. If the birth certificate issued at or nearest to the time of birth indicates a sex other than male or female, USCIS will base the determination of sex on secondary evidence. The release said. It added, USCIS will not deny benefits solely because the benefit requester did not properly indicate his or her sex. However, USCIS does not issue documents with a blank sex field and does not issue documents with a sex different than the sex as generally evidenced on a birth certificate issued at the time of birth or issued nearest to the time of birth. Therefore, if a benefit requester does not indicate his or her sex or indicates a sex different from the sex on his or her birth certificate issued at the time of birth or issued nearest to the time of birth, there may be delays in adjudication. USCIS may provide notice to benefit requesters if it issues a USCIS document reflecting a sex different than that indicated by the benefit requester on the request, the release stated. Notably, just after being sworn in as the 47th U.S. president, Donald Trump declared that it would be the official policy of the United States to recognize only 2 genders, male and female. Trump had said his administration would work to make a merit-based and colorblind society. USCIS urges all applicants to carefully review their forms to avoid delays, especially when it comes to sex identification. The agency stresses the importance of using official channels and warns against scams exploiting confusion over these changes. That is all for today in this video. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully, the information is useful to you. See you later in the next video. Till then, take care.
Immigration rule by USCIS now in force. As of April 2nd, 2025, a new U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services policy has taken effect, recognizing only 2 biological sexes, male and female, on all immigration-related forms and documents. This change follows an executive order signed by President Donald Trump titled Defending Women from Gender Ideology, Extremism, and Restoring Biological Truth to the federal government. The policy aims to align federal immigration procedures with what the administration calls biological reality. Under the rule, such designation must match what is listed on an applicant's birth certificate. If a birth certificate indicates a sex other than male or female, the applicant must provide secondary evidence. While applications won't be denied solely for a mismatch in sex designation, they will be delayed, flagged, or returned for a correction. This significantly affects non-binary and transgender individuals whose gender identity may not align with the new federal criteria. The USCIS has updated its policy manual accordingly and emphasized that it will not issue documents with a plain sex pills on or with sex markers that do not conform to the birth certificate. The change has sparked both support and criticism. Supporters claim it to protect national security, women's rights, and public safety, while critics argue to marginalize LGBTQ+ individuals and erodes civil rights. The policy also follows the removal of the X gender marker from US passports, reinforcing the administration's broader stance against what it calls gender ideology. Trikia McLaughlin, USCIS Undersecretary for Public Affairs, stated that the move is a part of a common sense revolution. Analysts confusion, USCIS warned applicants to beware of scams falsely claiming to offer help with these changes in exchange for money. Officials urge individuals to rely solely on official government sources or licensed legal assistance when navigating immigration procedures under this new rule.